I suppose for me, these past few weeks, with everything that God's been doing in the church, I think the biggest thing for me is that God wants to change us through all of this, and that theme has come through with some of the speakers today already. And it really is about us being open to God and allowing Him to do what He needs to do in us to change us, to make us more like Him. You know, like the potter's clay. You know, we need to be soft, malleable. Able, so that God can make us into the person that He wants to be. And there've been a few things with me recently where God's really challenged me about that. I've been in churches basically since I was born. Really, I was brought up been into different churches, and you sort of get to a point like that, having particularly being involved in ministry and stuff in church, where you start to think, oh yeah, everything's cool. I've got this all together. I know what to do. This is good. This is great. And then God comes along, as He did with me, and He's like, hang on a minute, you don't have it all together, You've got to trust me for these things. There's some things that you think, that I think I know, that God's been going, well, maybe, that's not the way it is now. As Dallas said, there's some things, that these are a new season, a new day. God's doing new things, and God's doing new things in us, and hopefully in everybody here, that God is doing new things in all of us. And one thing, about a week ago, probably a little bit more than a week ago, I was sort of having a week where I was really struggling with all this stuff, and I knew God was doing stuff, but I didn't really know what He was doing, and everything just felt difficult, It's sort of in that process in the middle of it all, where you don't know what God's doing yet, but you just, something's happening, and like, I just got to just go with this and just hope that God does really know what He's doing, which of course He does. And David sensed that there was something going on and sent me a message, is everything okay? And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, today I'm pretty good, but if you had asked me yesterday, it might have been a different story kind of thing, And he just got back to me with the word breaking. And that's something that I wasn't sort of even fully aware of it myself, and I really thought about it, because initially I'm like, God's not really breaking me, I'm just going through something, just got to deal with it, I'll figure it out, it'll be fine, But as it turns out, it really was something that God was doing, where He was breaking. But the thing that I kind of really struggled with about it as well, because again, my thought was, well, if God's breaking me, that's fine. God's dealt with me before. He's brought things to my attention, and we've got through it, and God's good, and He helps. He'll help me through it all. But the thing that was different this time was that God was using people to break me, and then I was kind of like, hang on a minute. I know how to deal with people. I had my ways of doing it. Things would come up with Renee at home, and things, as happens with your spouse, things blow up sometimes, and you're like, well, no, you're wrong, that sort of thing. And what I would do would be, I kind of build up my argument, well, this is why, this reason, and there's this and this. Right, I've got it, I'm solid now. Right, I can go to her now and I can put this to her, and she'll see things my way. A little bit of that kind of going on. And so it was a struggle for me to just accept that God was using people to break me. God is using people to change me. And as I think many of you are aware, Renee's had a sore leg recently, where she's got slipped a disc, and it's pressing against the nerve, and she's got a lot of pain down her leg, and it's been going on for a few months now. And initially I was kind of like, well, it's okay, just pray and God will deal with it. Just change your mindset, change your thinking, and you'll get better, And I was a little bit sort of brushed it off a little bit. No, it'll be fine, it'll go away. And then it sort of started, was still there, and it was a bit more serious, and she's like, at times was in a lot of pain from this in her leg, and we prayed for her at different times, different people had prayed for her, and it just didn't seem like this pain was going away in her leg. And it was at the point where she couldn't even put on a shoe. And so she'd be sitting there, and I had to come along and literally sit on the floor in front of her and put a shoe on for her. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, humbling myself before her and humbling myself before God. Having to, I couldn't just brush it off and go, oh no, just it'll be fine, because she could not put her shoe on herself. There was nothing she could do, and I had to come in and support my wife in that, and humble myself by sitting before her and putting a shoe on for her, and it's just things like that, where God's just really kind of turning things around for me and letting me really see, that it's all about people, that it's about supporting people, and it's about loving people, and it's about working with people. It's not about giving my opinion at people and showing people what I think, but it's about listening to people, and it's about understanding people, and it's about knowing where people are at, and you can't just brush it off and say, oh no, your leg will just get better. I've got to support my way through that. I've got to understand her. And I guess this is something just across the board with me, is just understanding that it's all about people. It's about loving people. It's about supporting people. It's about understanding people. And I guess that's probably the big message for me. I had a heap more here that I was going to talk about, but I think probably that really sums it all up. It's just, it's about people, it's about loving people. Like David said at the start, it's about loving people, and I think just one last point on that about love. The Bible talks about, where's the scripture? In 1 Corinthians 13, love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be still. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. And all those things are important. The prophecies, the tongues, the knowledge, all those things are important. But without love, they're nothing. Earlier in that verse, it says it's like a clanging cymbal. If I had a drumstick or something, I could be talking to you and all you're hearing is this. And I'm talking to you and you can't really hear what I'm saying because I'm not speaking in love. And you're just hearing this cymbal that's bashing over and over and over and over. And it has no meaning to anybody because they're just hearing this clanging cymbal. They're not hearing what they really need to be able to hear. We're not allowing them to hear what we've got to say because we're not speaking in love. And even when we have these altar calls and people are on the floor before God here, and we're getting prophecies, and it's great that we're getting this, and I hope we're all longing for more of what God's doing with all of this. But at the end of the day, when this is all over, we walk out that door, and it's love that remains with us. It's love, it says these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And love is the most important thing, So yes, we need to be prayed for. We need the prophecies. We need the tongues. We need the words. But at the end of the day, love is what's going to make the difference. Love is what's going to change people. You can go out there and you can say to people, we had church on Sunday and I came out for the altar call and the pastor prayed for me and I was slain. They'd probably be freaking out when you say that. I got this word from God and it was amazing. And they're going to be looking at you going, what? I don't get that. They're not, particularly people who don't come to church. I don't get that. What are you talking about? People pray for you. What even is that? But it's a love for those people that is going to show them that God is real. And that's what's going to draw them into His presence, and that's what's going to draw them into His place, and that's what's going to draw them into His kingdom. It's the way we demonstrate our love for people. So in my case, I'm sitting on the floor before my wife, demonstrating my love for her by putting on her shoe. I want to challenge you now. What is it that you can do? What action can you take that is going to show your love for those people out there, your love for your family, your love for the people in your workplace? Because the other thing about love is it doesn't just exist on its own. It's got to be attached to an action in order to make a difference. I can be standing here feeling so much love, but you won't know that until I do something about it. So what actions are you going to take to the people out there this week that's going to show your love for them and that's going to draw them into this place so that they can come and receive what God's got for them as well? So people, love, understanding, all of those things are so important. And I think that's the big lesson that God's been trying to teach me these past few weeks.